I wish I could tell you exactly when I saw the first red flag. Maybe it was in the way they interrupted me, or the way they looked right through me when I was hurting. Maybe it was that first little lie, so small it felt like nothing, until it became everything. But the truth is, I didn't miss the red flags. I saw them, I felt them. I just chose not to run. Maybe I thought I could fix things, or maybe I was afraid of what running would mean. Afraid of starting over, of facing the unknown. So I stayed. I stayed hoping for change, but deep down I knew I was only delaying the inevitable. There's this narrative people love to tell: you didn't know. You were blind, but I wasn't. I knew something felt off. I just wanted to believe that love could fix it. I wasn't naive, I was hopeful. I thought if I just gave more, loved harder, stayed longer, maybe the story would change. I saw the way they spoke to others with more kindness than they ever offered me. I noticed the excuses, the emotional absences, the sudden silences that lasted days. But I kept thinking, maybe they're just going through something. Or worse, maybe I'm the problem. Because when you want something so badly, to be loved, chosen, prioritized, you start negotiating with your own worth. Red flags don't always scream. Sometimes they whisper. They show up in forgotten promises. In the way your heart sinks when you hear their car pull in, unsure if you're going to get the version of them that loves you, or the one that breaks you down piece by piece. I stopped talking about how I felt, because every time I did, it turned into a fight. Or worse, I was told I was too sensitive. So, I started hiding parts of myself just to keep the peace. That was a red flag. When your truth becomes too inconvenient for someone, you start folding yourself smaller just to fit into the spaces they make for you. And I kept folding, until I almost disappeared. I used to think we were soulmates. Now I know. We were trauma mates. What felt like chemistry was often anxiety. What I called passion was chaos. The highs were so high and the lows felt like dying. But that intensity, it's addictive. You start mistaking the adrenaline for love. When things were good, they were magical. And when they were bad, I thought it was my fault. Because if I was just better, calmer, more patient, then maybe the red flags would turn green. But relationships aren't meant to be rescue missions, and love shouldn't cost you your peace. Here are some of the lies I used to survive that relationship. At least he's not cheating. He's not that bad. He's just stressed. All relationships have problems. Maybe I expect too much. Each one of these lies was a red flag in disguise. Each one was a way I justified staying even when my heart was screaming at me to leave. And the hardest part? I knew better. But knowing better doesn't mean you feel strong enough to act on it. Especially when your self-worth has been slowly, silently eroded. I stayed because I remembered the good times more vividly than I felt the bad. I stayed because I didn't want to start over. Because I thought love meant sacrifice. Because I confused struggle with loyalty. I stayed because I didn't want to admit to everyone and myself that I'd made a mistake. I stayed because I was afraid. Afraid that no one else would love me. Afraid that maybe this was the best I could do. Afraid to be alone. But the truth is, being alone is far less lonely than being with someone who makes you feel invisible. It wasn't one big moment that woke me up. It was 1,000 little ones. A quiet breaking. A slow rising. I looked at myself in the mirror one day and I didn't recognize her. She looked tired. Dimmed. But there was still a flicker. A small burning flame. And that day, I made a promise. No more ignoring what hurts. No more shrinking. No more convincing someone to treat me the way I deserved all along. That was the day I started choosing me. Leaving wasn't easy. I doubted myself every single step. There were nights I cried myself to sleep, days I almost went back, but I kept going. I kept choosing peace over chaos, silence over shouting, truth over delusion. And slowly, I remembered who I was. Not the version of me that settled, tolerated, endured, but the version who knows her worth. The one who knows that red flags are warnings, not challenges to overcome. So, why did I ignore all the red flags? Because I was human. Because I was hurting. Because I wanted to believe in love so badly that I sacrificed myself for it. But now, I see them for what they were. Lessons, warnings, and most of all, reminders. That the next time I feel that deep, aching tug in my soul telling me this isn't love, I'll listen. Because I deserve better. And so do you. To the woman watching this, wondering if she's ignoring her own red flags, you're not crazy. You're not weak. You're not alone. You're waking up. It's not easy to face the truth, but it's the first step toward freedom. Every moment of doubt, every tear shed, is a sign of your strength, not your failure. And when you do, your whole life changes. The weight you've carried begins to lift. The world starts to look brighter, and you'll see possibilities where there were once walls. You'll rediscover yourself, your passions, your dreams, your worth. And in that rediscovery, you'll find a strength you never knew you had. This is your journey, and it's just beginning. If this spoke to your heart, if you saw yourself in these words, drop a heart in the comments so I know you're on this healing journey too. And if you're ready to stop ignoring the red flags and start choosing you, hit subscribe. This is a safe space for your truth, your growth, and your comeback. What red flags have I overlooked in the past? And what will I no longer tolerate moving forward? You're not broken. You're becoming. And the version of you on the other side of this, she's unstoppable. Thanks for watching.